mic. Now I can.
I think I just did it too.
Oops. Yeah, I said it. I changed the setting. So we're going to get
Thank
started in a
you.
few minutes. I
Thank
just
you.
did some quick introductions in the physical room. Oh, you guys can see the audience now. Yay. Cool. So you guys in frame, I've got to get used to calling it frame and not Verbella. So the folks in frame can be able to see the people in the physical room. Physical room, you guys can see the folks in frame, I think, over there. I can't see it at this point. But we're going to get started with the stream in about 2 minutes, and just be aware that once the stream starts, they will be able to hear everything y'all say in Verbella. Or frame. God, this is going to... Stream is working, so hey, they can hear you now.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. We're excited that everybody's all here together, quote unquote.
Right. So the fun technical hurdles that we had this time were all of the screens in frame just deciding not to allow the users to share to them, what, about 20 minutes before we started. So that's fun. Hey, what? Give me a moment, please. Navjeet, I will say, or Nav, I should say, we can hear you typing pretty heavily.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll
You just might want to mute if you're not talking.
I'm a little impressed. It was very quick.
It was very fast. All right, so welcome, folks. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. We're testing the stream right now, testing a few more audio things. It will officially kick off in exactly 4 minutes, sorry. But yeah, still working on a few more technical details here. Thanks.
Hi, Caroline. It's Mike from Verbella and XR Women.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good. I've never actually attended a frame event, so I'm a little robot
Oh,
right now.
great. Yeah, great. I did want to say one thing to Karen, because I think that we don't have that setting clicked in.
I think Matt changed it.
He did. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
It was
Excellent.
set that way, but I think he
Good.
changed it. Yes.
And please, if
And
anyone
hi,
else in this room cannot use the mic or doesn't see the little microphone in the lower left, please, and the little emoji smile, question mark, please put something in the chat, which is to the left, the middle tab there between people and go to. Hopefully everyone has go to. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's just me.
I see somebody put weather is bad in Chicago. Was that, who said that? Is that Eleni or no? Who else here is in Chicago?
Well, I don't know, because we got guests who are coming in from virtual spaces, so it could be anybody, really.
Sure.
Hi, Lauren. It's really nice to see you, Caroline Dennis. I'm glad that you joined us tonight. And hopefully you have audio. And if you don't, put something in the chat, which is that little button at the top left.
Yep, just getting my settings in place. Can you hear me now?
I can. Awesome. Thanks for joining
Hi,
us.
Lauren.
Welcome.
Absolutely.
Hi, Lauren. Good to
Hey
see you.
guys, good to see you too. I wasn't going to miss this one.
That's right. Welcome, Eleni. My name is Caroline Dennis. Nice to meet you virtually. We're just going to get started in a few minutes.
All right, we are going to get started right now, in fact. So I'm going to change the frame settings to presentation mode. It is there. And welcome, everybody. This event is the next evolution. Tonight, we're going to be speaking about immersive technology and marketing. Give me a second. And we have our panel of folks who you can see their slides up here. Hopefully that is projecting into frame. As I mentioned earlier, we're in a lot of spaces at the same time. I'll go over that more in just a moment here. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Matt Wren. I'm the founder of VR Chicago and The Next Evolution, which we've started in 2017. My passion and expertise spans a lot of emerging technologies, and I'll leave it at that. So if you'd like to know more, please come up and say hello to me after the event. And for those of you in the virtual space, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to talk to you. The Next Evolution AWE Nite Chicago event series is now and always will be 100% free to attend. Obviously, we are happy to accept donations, but it will always be free. That said, again, it's not free to produce, so please consider donating to help keep this programming possible. I'll have this QR code up again later for those of you in the virtual space. We also have essentially a little card, an NFC card at the front table that will help in that effect as well. The Next Evolution is also co-branded as AWE Nite Chicago. There are more than 30 AWE Nites all over the world. You can use the code 24AWE Nite D for a 20% off the current ticket price of AWE USA 2024. There are now early bird tickets available. So the event is coming up in June of this year in Long Beach. Hope to see you guys there. Also wanted to talk about AWE Academy, which is where people can attend online live courses by the XR community for the XR community and beyond. For example, there's a fundraising prep course for XR startups. I know somebody in the room mentioned that they're looking for fundraising. And there's also now a WebAR course, which is available on demand or pre-recorded. Check out awexr.com for more information. With that said, we'd also like to thank our venue sponsor, 1871. Again, happy to talk to you more about 1871 if you'd like to after the event, but this is the space that we're in. They've been providing this venue space to us for several years, and it is Chicago's technology incubator. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Caroline, our virtual host. How you doing, Caroline?
Hi, Matt. Welcome, everybody. My name is Caroline Dennis. I'm really excited to have everybody here tonight.
First, I just wanted to mention that we are in a platform called Frame, and this is a virtual platform that has all kinds of features to it. So we're really excited to have everybody here tonight in Frame. I first want to introduce that sorry, I got a little out of my place. Can I have just a second here? And I'm going to regroup myself, Matt. Sorry about that.
Right
No
there.
worries.
Things got out of order. Well, anyway, I will
We'll let you go.
I will introduce myself. I am Caroline Dennis. I have a consulting firm called 2 Degrees. I work with companies, with organizations to help them grow their products, their communities, and deepen across a spectrum of technologies in XR and blockchain, decentralized communities, as well as being very involved with VR Air Chicago. I'm also a member of the XR Women Leadership Team, and we're really excited to have Julie Smith in here tonight, representing one of the founders of XR Women. And then I'm also part of a global community called Symphony, which is a sustainable smart cities organization building sustainable smart cities. So I'm thrilled about that. And I want to also thank and mention a little bit about XR Women, because it's really an incredible community. There are over 700 members. And really, I had to ask Julie tonight for the actual final number of events that have been held in various different metaverse platforms. It's now up to 165 events over 3+ years. So this is an incredible feat. XR Women is all about just being able to build industry leaders, build the accessibility and inclusivity, empowering more women to be in the space. And we meet every Wednesday in a number of platforms. We have a really wonderful place in Engage. And we are, in just 3 years, we've had, as I said, 165 events with women taking the stage. And it's really more of it's a movement more than a community. And we're a force for change and shaping the future of immersive technology. So back to you, Matt.
Okay, so our virtual panelists and Caroline are in an environment called Frame this month, which is powered by Verbella, where we've been in the past. And we're excited that this time around, for this conversation, we actually have somebody live in the room to introduce Verbella and Frame. So I would like to introduce, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I'll butcher it. So come on up and I'll let you introduce yourself. But this is Eleni from Verbella.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me and for, putting it out on the internet. I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually make it in person. So my name is Eleni Kripenteris, and I have been at Verbella, which is a virtual environment just very similar to Frame. For the last 4 years, I'm on the customer success team, so I work closely with our enterprise clients. But tonight, I'm excited to be here to talk to you about Frame. So Frame is a web-based 3D virtual world where organizations, whether they're corporate organizations or educational institutions, go to gather together. And what they can accomplish is onboarding for employees, meetings, and collaboration pretty much from anywhere, remote from your computer, right? It's really exciting because the environments can be customized or you can choose from existing environments. What makes Frame also really amazing is that it can be accessed from your mobile device or from a headset such as the Vision Pro, pretty seamless. And it just allows people to collaborate from across the globe, which is something I had the pleasure to do the last 4 years. And I can't imagine working remotely any other way other than being immersed into an environment where I can collaborate with colleagues and also kind of avoid that, being on camera type of fatigue. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to chat while I'm here this evening. You can also go to framevr.io for more information or to even try your own frame out yourself. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. It's great to have you. All right. With that, give me a moment. We also have a lot of great community partners supporting these events. I'll rattle them off really quickly. So we have Vanity, 2 Degrees, Independent Game Developers Association of Chicago, 2112 Chicago, Envision, who is here with the demonstration, and Patch Reality, who is also here with the demonstration. Do not forget to collect your NFT. Did I see Jay walk in? I think I did. Yeah. So what we do is at the end of every year, we have a giveaway. The giveaway is tied to attendance of the event. The attendance is based on if you registered, if you checked in, and if you have collected the NFT. The NFT is only available to collect tonight and tomorrow. After that, it is no longer able to be collected. But luckily, and I'll have Jay once again, since you're here, raise your hand. That's the guy who won the headset from last year. He got a Quest 3. So since he's in the room, we get to do that. But that said, last month we had a little hiccup in minting the raffle tickets. So if you attended, sorry, my script just massively jumped around. If you attended, we're going to email you. I know that much. Pardon me, more technical difficulties. These are fun today. As I'm literally looking at the script, it just jumped on me. Yeah, I think somebody might be editing on the other side of things. Could be the issue.
Matt, were you going to be introducing Karen from the American Marketing
In a
Association?
moment, we will. Yeah, sorry, let me get to that. There we go. So with that said, yeah, we'll be emailing you to redeem your missing ticket for Arts, AV, and Communications. Cool. Sorry about all that. Quick jump. But with all that, the other fun thing we have going on with this month's event, which is a little bit unique, is that we would like to introduce Karen Hatfield from the American Marketing Association. Karen, come on up. Because we are, thank you. Since we're talking about marketing today, we figured we should partner with the experts.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Karen Hatfield. I'm a volunteer and board member for American Marketing Association Chicago chapter. So we are a chapter of the National American Marketing Association organization. We are the largest chapter in the country. We have over 800 members. We've been around for about 87 years, I think it is. And we're pleased to be here tonight. We've actually had a nice partnership going. Matt came and spoke to one of our events as part of a panel on immersive marketing, immersive technology for brand building. And so we look forward to much more collaboration at this intersection of immersive technology and marketing. So happy to be here tonight. We are actually gearing up. We provide education, training, networking, career development for marketers in the Chicago area. We have a very robust programming schedule. I know I'm on the, I lead the programming team, so up to my eyeballs with it, but a lot of really great stuff for marketers at all different levels. We happen to have our major event coming up at the later this month on April 25th. We'll have our annual Brand Smart Conference, which is the longest running brand conference in the country. And so April 25th at Navy Pier. Encourage you to check it out, come to our website, and would love to have you at that event. So, a couple more slides. All right. So the focus of Brand Smart is the future of brand in an experience-driven economy. So very relevant to what we're talking about here. We have speakers from all kinds of different companies, big brands, nonprofits, business to business, business to consumer. So it's a wide range of speakers, in addition to some great networking opportunities. We generally have over 300 people attending. We were virtual for a little while during the pandemic. Now we're fully in person at Navy Pier. So a great opportunity to learn, get exposed to different brands and different approaches, and just meet some really great people along the way. Did I get it?
You got it. Thank you,
right.
Karen.
Thank you.
For anyone who wants to learn more about the AMA or Brand Smart, Karen will be here at the table over there. Please go and talk to her. because she will know a lot more about it than I will. With that said, we did want to also highlight one other event that is upcoming in Chicago related to technology, and that is Tech Week Chicago. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this. It's available on the internet now. They've just published the agenda, but I would say definitely, if you get a chance, take a look at Tech Week Chicago if you're local here, because that event will be coming up in July. With that said, I'm going to toss it back over to Caroline to introduce today's top. Oh, I'm sorry. I should also mention we have technology demonstrations here in the room. Thanks to Envision and Past Reality, we will have an Apple Vision Pro, and Envision will be demonstrating their mobile augmented reality. So check them out when we get a chance. And with that, I will now toss it back over to Caroline to introduce our topic.
Great, Matt. Sorry for that hiccup earlier. It was too many pages and too many screens going on. So this is an interesting program. First of all, not just because we have a really, really deep breadth of expertise and diversity in the industry of a lot of not just immersive, but marketing and a whole bunch of other industries all coming together. But today's program brings together experts from various domains to explore the profound impact of immersive technologies on marketing, and from cutting edge experiential content creation to immersive 3D creation on the spatial web, strategic partnerships, which is a very big part of this industry, and support for XR startups to provide a rich dialogue, hopefully filled with practical insights and real world examples. So, immersive technologies are revolutionizing marketing approaches, and they're really driving meaningful connections with customers and delivering tangible business results. So, I'm really excited to explore this tonight. And I'd like to first introduce Navjeet Sheena. If you want to come to the stage, and I'll go ahead and introduce you. And the way we'll do this is we'll be having the introductions and have each person introduce themselves, and then we'll have the questions after everyone presents their thing. So I'll go ahead and get off the camera here and allow you to then pop up here on the screen. Awesome. So Navjeet is the CEO of Genius Innovation Lab. It's an XR innovation partner for enterprise. He's worked with dozens of Fortune 500 brands to create projects that drive business results and build meaningful customer relationships. Welcome, Navjeet.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. Yeah, as they said, I'm the CEO of Genius Innovation Lab. We've been in the 3D, AR, VR, XR space for about the last 8 years, and it's just been great to see, the progression of these technologies. And we've been fortunate enough to drive experiences across multiple verticals for multiple different brands, leveraging XR from marketing to advertising to retail. And various industries, from furniture to CPG to automotive to real estate. And for us, especially over the last few years, we've really found that 3D technologies creates much more engaging experiences as opposed to passive experiences such as images or videos. And so very happy to be a part of this panel, and excited for the questions that you may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'd like to turn this back over to you, Matt.
I think I have a video from Navjeet. Give me 1 second here.
Oh, I apologize.
So let me roll his video. It will have audio in the space. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to hear the audio in Verbella, but I'll keep the microphone open just in case. So let
And
me
could
play.
we also have Narjeet speak during the video, or does he need to be muted here in this space? So he can talk us through a little bit about the video.
I can mute the video after it starts if you'd like to talk over it.
Okay.
Your call, Nav. What do you want to do?
It might be best just to talk after the video. It goes quite
Okay.
fast.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to let it play, and it does have audio, so we won't be. We'll let you know when it's over.
Great. Yeah, thank you for showing that video. So yeah, as you see, we do a lot of 3D experiences across various verticals. And for us, it's always about solving a very specific business problem. We always look at exactly what a brand needs before we suggest 3D experiences to them. So we're looking at, along the marketing or advertising funnel, where the customer is. Are we looking to, attract attention to the brand? Are we looking to engage current clientele? Are we looking to increase a purchase intent or convert existing users into paying clients? Or for a brand, seeing if they already have customers, do we want them to become loyal advocates of the brand? And so for us, we always take an approach of understanding exactly what the brand wants and then delivering an experience that helps them meet those objectives. So for us, we've seen a lot of success in things, as you've seen in the video, such as virtual try-on or virtual walkthroughs of apartments or real estate, years before the property is built. We built 3D showrooms for automotive. We've also done augmented reality experiences for automotive, where you can place vehicles in your space and look at them and see the size and scale in your driveway before going to purchase it, as well as gamified metaverse experiences. So for us, always tying the business value behind the 3D has been extremely important. And this has been one of the big drivers of our success is, understanding what the problem to be solved is, and then suggesting the right use case or right spatial experience for that particular situation. And so for us, we're platform agnostic, which means, if it makes sense to create an Instagram or a Snapchat filter, because that's where the audience for that brand lives, we'll gear towards that. But if it's a different demographic and we want to have this accessible by anyone on any device, we'll suggest a web AR experience. And then for other clients, when we want to get to ultra high fidelity, or we want to create a much deeper sense of immersion, we'll leverage engines like Unreal Engine to create super high fidelity experiences. And then once again, making them very accessible by using technologies such as cloud streaming or pixel streaming, so that it's not just limited to users that have a gaming computer or a very powerful machine, but accessible to anyone with just an internet connection. So I hope that that was a good explanation of some of the types of work we do and why we do it, and the platforms we use.
Fabulous. That's great. And we'll turn it back over to you so you can introduce our next guest, Matt. Thanks. Thank you, Navjeet.
All right. Thank you, Nav. And with that, I will introduce our next guest, Gareth Davies, who's going to come on up to the stage here and grab the microphone. Gareth is the visionary founder of Mostly Misfits, a pioneering fractional services company dedicated to supporting XR startups and businesses. You can come on up. Gareth and his team specialize in providing essential support across marketing, software development, sales, and customer success, ensuring that innovative XR ventures have the resources they need to thrive in today's dynamic landscape.
This work? Excellent. All right. Hi. Got a presentation? There we go. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit today about transfer engagement with XR. But first, a little bit about me. Next slide, please. My name is Gareth. I'm a co-founder of Mostly Misfits and currently the product manager. I have 28 years in software development and technical artistry. I got my start in '96 with Lingo, a Macromedia director. If anyone here knows that, that was quite the days. And then I spent the last 10 years of my career kind of moving into product ownership, product management, and working directly in XR and AR and VR. I've worked for a lot of clients, including Microsoft, Oracle, educational institutions, ASU, DuSable, and government agencies, including Space Force and the USS Force. Cool, next slide. So who are the Misfits? Last year, me and a couple of people that were working together decided to found a company called Mostly Misfits. We were working at a startup at the time, and we saw kind of an emptiness in what we were doing with sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Basically, we help companies and startup with XR and AI focused on software engineering, marketing, content creation, and product management. And those are kind of what we were lacking at the time. And me and the people we were working with had this kind of skill set, the startup skill set. We did that at the end of last year, and we've been quite successful since then, only in a short time. We already have some great clients that we're helping. Next slide. All right, thoughts on spatial computing and marketing. So XR has revolutionized how we market our products. That's absolutely true. It helps us move beyond just regular advertising, commercials, and that to actual experiential product demonstrations and try-ons. Our client Face Trace Beauty, for example, has beauty products, and they show you how they look on their face, and you're able to see how that looks, and then go out and make decisions and buy the beauty products. Thermo Fisher, we were working with, had technology they were working on for digital twin at the time that was about showing their hardware in a browser. It was very easy to move them on from showing the hardware into the browser to an AR kind of technology where they would put it in front of you, and that helped them sell that hardware to the clients. Experiential exploration, so helping people experience things. So Mimbus is a client who allows students to experience the trades. Trades are currently suffering from the amount of people going into them. So welding, architecture, that kind of thing. So Mimbus has software that allows students to experience what it's like to be a bricklayer, what it's like to be a stonemason, what it's like to put up a scaffold and help kind of make the trades look more better. And then lastly, what I really love recently is geospatial is starting to get a little bit more accurate. So we're seeing a lot more of it. Geospatial takeover and virtual showroom. So Google Geospatial, Gap, and Barbie recently did a Times Square takeover where they kind of painted the whole of Times Square with Gap and Barbie. And it was interactive. It was really cool. If you've not seen it, highly recommend checking that out. Next slide, please. So where are we going? The future is all about shrinking, in my mind, the space between physical and digital. 10 years ago, the space was much bigger, and now it's much smaller. Hardware speed, accuracy, tracking is always getting better. So with increased tracking, we're able to see better things like geospatial is growing because of our increased accuracy and tracking. And you're able to do better product try-on and demonstrations. For example, we've all seen for years, you've been able to put glasses on, makeup on, but now with the devices we have in our pocket, we can do cloth simulation and track bodies much easier than we could years ago. So it's better to try on clothes, was a new thing. AR and VR in a single device, I think is starting to, again, we have the Quest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro are much better devices than what we had 5-6 years ago, and blurring the line between AR and VR. And then, of course, content creation with generative AI and machine learning. One of the pain points currently in AR and VR is getting content, 3D content, from clients. I remember in the 90s, the pain point was getting their logo. Like, do you have a JPEG of? And people didn't know what the JPEG was. We see very similar these days with, do you have a 3D model? Do you have a digital twin? We've had technology for a while, such as photogrammetry, SLAM, to help us create things. Those are improving. Again, 5 years ago, to do photogrammetry, you needed specialized software and equipment. Now you can do it with the device in your pocket at a professional level with a professional pipeline. And then the 3D Gaussian splatting is fantastic. That's a newer technology for getting 3D models and spaces. So we're able to get this more photorealistic content into space. And of course, audio and visual generative AI, they're just getting better and better all the time, being able to generate your content and be ready for XR is also fantastic. And I think that's it. Yeah, thanks. That's it.
All right, thank you, Gareth. We will have you back up here for Q&A. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Caroline to introduce our next speaker.
Great, Matt. I would like to invite Julie Smithson up to the stage. I'd like to introduce her, the one, the only, and I'm really excited to be standing here on a stage with you, Julie. So as I mentioned, that Julie is did you get your webcam up? I'm turning
No,
around.
unfortunately, Navjeet is still on the webcam.
Oh, yes. And Navjeet, if you could just turn off that camera,
There
then
we go.
Julie can.
Great.
That. Yeah.
Okay, let me just get
Awesome.
my. Oh. Am I straight? Is it on?
Is it not letting you do that?
No, it didn't let me do it this time again. The button
Okay.
disappeared.
Well, we're just full of all kinds of things. Well, everybody, at least you can have your own camera by your face, which everybody can do. And I'm going to move here
Yeah.
aside the stage so that you can come over here. But this is what this is all about. And Julie knows this from many years of presenting in these virtual spaces, that you just have to be able to go with the flow with things.
You just have to roll with it. Just have to roll with
Absolutely.
it. So hopefully
Absolutely.
everybody
So
can see me.
let me just say, Julie Smithson is the co-founder and COO of a company called Metaverse, a 3D game engine for the spatial web. She is also co-founder of XR Women, leading her team a weekly community learning event hosted in immersive platform for the past 3.5 years. And as we said, over 165 events in a row. She is involved across so many areas of this XR industry. I encourage you to follow her, as well as Alan Smithson, who's here with us. Welcome, Alan. I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away, Julie. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I see the button might be back. Let me see if it'll work again. I don't know if it will or not, but hey, no, it seems to have disappeared. That's okay. That's all right. We're not going to let that stop anything here. As long as everybody's
Julie,
here.
sorry,
That's
I'm
the
sorry to
important part,
interrupt
right?
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Matt was just interrupting.
Try
What'd you
turning
say,
your
Matt?
avatar camera off, and you should be able to share to the screen.
Say that one more time. Sorry, that was.
The camera that's currently looking at you right next to your avatar, if you turn that one off, that's probably blocking you from sharing to the screen.
Oh,
Okay.
and there it is.
There we go.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Beautiful. Yay. Hey, Julie.
Hi, everybody. Okay, now I can see myself up there. Okay, now I got this. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Julie Smithson, and yeah, Carolyn kind of introduced who I am, what I've been doing. Yes, we called our company Metaverse back in 2016, way before the wave came through, and I've been building over 200 projects with my teams over the years in the immersive space, and really getting a good understanding of what it takes to build out an immersive experience, whether it be for a consumer level or an enterprise training module. I've worked with it all. And what I have been doing is working with our own Metaverse engine, our own game engine that produces spatial experiences for the web. I'm also co-founder of XR Women, as Caroline explained already, as well as the host of the Poly Awards, WebXR Awards. Very proud to have been a host this year for the 4th time in a row, recognizing developers of the immersive web. So I do have a few slides. So next slide, please. Just to explain a little bit about who we are. We are a 3D game engine for the spatial web. And with the game engine, we do have an editor for creation for everyone to be able to publish and design and publish right to the browser. And that's the power of our engine right now. And with that, we went and built out 2 different products. One is the mall, which allows for custom V-stores and experiences that can be directed right to consumers. And I have a use case to share with you in just a second. But also Metopia. Metopia is another platform that we have and collaboration platform that is powered on the web and has the ability to connect business and enterprise solutions, integrating APIs into the experience. We also have Web3 connected, the blockchain. Our partner is Hedera, who you'll see in the use case, who we're partnering with, that allows this new wave of marketing to consumers using Web3. So just go to the next slide. Next slide, please. You know, the use cases around immersive experiences and branding, you know, through retail, art museums, consumer electronics, and, you know, fashion, furniture, whether you're placing in your space, try before you buy. What we need to do now is really place eliminate as many barriers as we can to the consumer to be able to interact with the brand. And essentially what we're doing is we're matchmaking brand product with people and being able to create experiences that mean something to them. That's the game changer of marketing these days. And if you the next slide, please. One of the experiences here, you can try it yourself. A couple of years ago, we created a museum, and with that, it's actually there's snuff boxes, and you can see the intricacy and the details of these very, very small boxes. Everything running on the mobile or on the web, and we built out with our engine solutions to be able to deploy from mobile first, which is what 7 billion 3D enabled devices are out there that can support these devices. And I think having WebXR as the footprint of where you're going, how you're developing things to set yourself up for interoperability is really important, especially when it comes to marketing, but also breaking those barriers to reaching those consumers and users that you're trying to connect to your brand. So having, custom experiences and building out that communications platform with them, building out communities and having the ability for users to connect with products and services in a more intimate way is where things are going. Next slide, please. So this is why we created the mall, the world's largest virtual mall. We'll be launching fully this summer. It's been in the works for the past couple of years. What it is 100 floors high, 1 million square feet each floor. We use infinite LOD, and we're now Web3 ready to be able to build out experiences for the web, for retail or whoever is looking to build out an immersive experience. So I think the key here is that you can shop with your friends, we can gamify things, and we can really start to create fun brand marketing experiences that will obviously turn into an ROI or ROX, as I like to call it, return on experience. I think there's huge value in really taking a look at what the story is and how you're reaching your consumers these days. Next slide, please. One of the examples that I have to share is one we did last year with the Mars Agency and the product, the Starburst candy product, and we created the Juicyverse, and this was the first IRL to URL to IRL Web3 experience that was out there, that was deployed. And basically the user's journey was to scan the QR code in the store as they were buying their pack of Starburst, and then going to the Juicyverse, adding that Juicyverse pass to their Google or Apple wallets, completing a 3D interactive game called Get Lost in Space. And once they completed that game, a coupon would be added to their wallet that was connected via the blockchain. And our partners Hedera helped us through with that process. So then that user could then go back to the store and use that coupon to buy another pack of Starburst. So we went IRL to URL, back to IRL with gamification, using the blockchain to confirm that transaction. And this is the future of marketing right here, whether it be on a mobile device or a headset, VR headset. That is the recipe to claiming more consumers, gaining more revenue for product and that sort of thing. So there's a real exploratory session here in learning how we can create this type of impact using the chain to gain more customers and build more revenue for the company. So I'll just finish off with my last two slides. Next slide, please. Metopia, please try it. It could be your next digital twin. It could be a product showcase room for yourself to do personalized demos, have exclusive access. This is another big piece about using Web3 and tokenizing the spaces to give exclusive access to certain products or features or shows and that sort of thing. So really start to take in the idea of how to use the chain in the experiences, and who the partners are that you're going to be tying this to. Next slide. I just want to leave off with the Metaverse Engine, which is a 3D creation platform for the spatial web. It is open for developers to use, or you're welcome to ask our studio to give you a hand to help you build out those experiences. Again, it's web-based, no apps or commissions or permissions, and it integrates with business solutions and APIs. It's 10 times faster to build out and deploy. And there's all sorts of things that we accept there. Multiplayer editor, we can communicate, just audio, video, chat, sharing files and things like that. So we are excited to be a part of this community. And just the last slide, if you want to go back and check out who we are, Metaverse in the Mall and Utopia, we've got a few products there. And I'm excited to be a part of this conversation and this game changer of how we reach consumers, how brands are connecting with them, and what kind of journeys that they're bringing their consumers on to create value for everyone involved. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Julie. That was awesome. Appreciate it. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Matt. And I've got lots of questions for both Navjit and Julie and others. So this is going to be an interesting session. But yeah, back to you, Matt.
I do have a video from Julie, so I'm going to roll that really quick.
Great.
And then we'll introduce our next speaker. All right. Thank you again, Julie. And with that, I'm going to introduce our last in-person speaker, and then we'll get to the actual Q&A and discussion portion. Randy, you want to come and join me? Thank you. So this is Randy Gress. He is the managing director of NextNow, an experiential agency renowned for its groundbreaking multimedia and digital immersive content. With over a decade of experience, Randy has spearheaded projects for prestigious brands like the NBA, Adidas, and McDonald's, leveraging his unique background in both sports and emerging tech to bridge the gap between industries. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm going to sit down if that's all right, so everybody can see the screen. Nice to meet everybody. Excited to be here. As Matt said, Randy Gress from NextNow. I've been with the company since it started. One of my slides is actually at a date. It says 11 years, but I think we've been around for 13 going on 14 years, so a long time. And AR, VR, extended reality, mixed reality has been a big part of our business. Matt, if you can go to the next slide. Oh, perfect. At the end of the day, we're looking to design experiences. They take place in a physical space or place. They merge physical worlds with digital worlds. You'll see a number of examples of how we work with brands to really connect them with, whoever their audience is, whether it is their customers or their employees. It's a wide range, and I'll touch on a number of those examples here in a second. Next slide, please. That's kind of talked about who we are, been around for quite some time. Next slide. Work with a wide range of clients across a number of different verticals. I'm sure that some of those names are pretty recognizable. Next slide, please. I think at the core, we work with agencies or brands directly. We have a full strategic design team, really looking at what are they trying to solve and what is the right technology medium to do so. So really not forcing the technology on them, but 99% of the time it is part of our projects. So if that isn't integrated into the experience, it's not the right fit for us. But we also want to be mindful of that, right? If they do an experience once or it doesn't fit for their audience or what they're trying to achieve, they're not going to go down that path again, and they're not going to be happy, and either are we. So that's a big part of our business when we're really thinking about what are we going to build for these clients. I think whenever you're building an experience, that's a huge part of it in order for them to be happy and you to be happy. We have a full creative design team, so 2D, 3D designers, motion graphic artists. We got real-time work that we do. And we have a full development team, front-end, back-end development. There's a lot of different types of projects that we get involved in. Sometimes we need to integrate with existing systems that clients are trying to have our experiences work and play nice with. So our team does a great job with that. And then there are instances where our experiences take place on a wide range of hardware that we procure, we support. A lot of things are traveling tours, events, permanent installations. So all those factors come into play of, although we build it, we also need to manage it and, continue to support those projects. Next slide. There's a number of spaces that we really focus on. We'll fly through these immersive environments. Next slide, please. Themed entertainment. Next slide, please. Emerging technologies kind of fits within itself, but it also pushes into those other areas and spaces. Next slide, please. And then brand activation. So I'll walk through a couple of examples. I might have you skip through because there are many, but next slide, please. Next slide. All right, this is a good one to talk about. So interesting project during the pandemic. Bucknell challenged us with, their admissions team was constantly going to high school events, trying to connect them with their university, give them their offerings. Obviously, that was a challenge that they were facing. So two parts of this. First implementation was a web experience that lived behind a wall that you had to register if you were interested in learning more about Bucknell University. That was the first iteration. There was a whole content management system that was built out that would allow, I think there were 6, 7 different areas, multi-level experience for this, that the potential students or their guardians could explore. Within that, they had different schools, they had videos, imagery, 360 video that we captured, that at each touch point, in each school, they could explore further. So if their team wanted to update that content, they had the ability to do so without the help from us. Obviously, if it had to do with the 3D assets within the environment, took a little heavier lift, and we would update those for them. The second iteration of this, falling outside of the pandemic, was headsets that got sent to high schools around the country. The same experience lived online, but also on Quest that they sent out in kits so that students could differentiate themselves when there's 50 to 100 colleges at these high school events. Next slide, please. Actually a pretty old project, but goes on to brand activations. So we worked with McDonald's on, they're all trying to, get fans excited. The Pit Crew Challenge is a legacy experience, changing a tire on a NASCAR vehicle. We kind of turned it up a notch and allowed folks to do that virtually. Catch here was they only did one side of the vehicle to have them. We didn't really have the space to do all 4 tires. And also it was pretty challenging and people were sweating throughout the process, but we created, obviously the full 3D environment for this. The catch was they had to make sure that they downloaded the app. This was a big time to push people to download the McDonald's app. It's quite some time ago. So before they had the chance to experience this in VR, download the app, but then it was a gamified experience. They had a leaderboard, they had prizes they were giving out. We had bites from the team, from Jamie McMurray to other folks that we captured on site at their practicing facility, but really a good way of pulling people in, differentiating themselves from the other brands that were living within the space and the footprint. Next slide, please. Retail example, as you can see, we touch on a lot of different spaces. Retail is another one that has been really successful for us, and we've seen some great use cases for AR and VR. This was an AR experience. First iteration was within stores to allow individuals to capture and compare, phones, buds, and also watches. Capture those, share those out with their friends, but also to see what they looked like in their ears, on their wrists, and in their hands. And then they could compare other size devices to these Samsung models. The other iteration of this was on their commerce page. So we created all their 3D assets for them, web enabled, optimized to work across their website and also obviously on, I think, 27,000 devices. We pushed it across their MDM, and this lived on for 2 years. I think this still might be on their site to date, but working closely with Samsung, their headquarters, same thing, full content management system, but a great use case for individuals to figure out, like, what is the right device for them? How do they like it? Try on features was a good use case for a buying decision. Next slide, please. One more. Morton saw, you can go next one. Weber Grill, good example here of a product launch. So we worked closely with Weber Grill. There's two parts to this. We fully designed a mailer kit that went out to over 150 media professionals to launch 3 new products that they had that they were announcing. The full kit had a pizza stone inside of it, which was this full kit that they were launching for their grills. A track loop video, but then they could also see these grills within their spaces from a size perspective, learn about the key features that they really wanted to highlight, but just a different way than just sending out media, through an email or anything like that, something that they could actually see in place and write stories about. And they're driving the technology side of things. They have a full app. So this was a good way for them to push that forward. So, all right, I think I'm at time. So other ones, if you have any questions, we've got a lot of VR, AR, mixed reality experiences that we've done over the 14 years. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. You might as well just stay there because we're going to get to the discussion points at this point. But with that said, thank you, Randy. For those of you who don't know already, the presentation with all of these examples and all the slides will be available online on the VR AR Chicago website, pretty much tied to this event forever. So if there are things that you saw on the deck that you want to, I see people taking camera shots of the deck. The deck is available. It's online. It's available forever. It's on slides.com. You guys can just go back to it and review it anytime you want. So if you don't have to necessarily worry about taking pictures, and for those of you in the virtual space or watching on the live stream, again, you can do that as well. So we're going to get to the discussion portion here. And the way that this is going to work is we have Q&A that's going to take place in 3 spaces at the same time. So one of the things, I'm actually going to walk off the deck for a second here. So Gareth, come join on the stage, please. Grab a seat. I'm going to get the microphone. I'm going to ask our friend Andy here to, if you would, run the Q&A microphone. So I'll just kind of watch me and I'll direct you to people in the order that I see their hands go up.
Thanks, Julie.
And then we also have questions that can come in from the virtual space, which Caroline will let me know if she's got virtual people who want to ask questions. And Tom will raise his hand and Andy will run the microphone to him if we have Q&A from, yes. And Tom might have Q&A from the live stream who's watching on YouTube, on AWE's YouTube. One of the things we're going to do now, I'm going to give up the center screen in the virtual space. And how do I stop sharing? That's a good question.
And Julie, if you want to go and when he does that, turn around and click the webcam for the middle screen. And then Navjeet, if you want to be able to use the screen behind me, then we can have both of you shown on the screen at the same time for the Q&A.
How do I turn myself? I'm trying to figure out how to unshare my screen right now. Give me a second.
No problem.
There we go. This will clear the assets. Oh no, I don't want that. I just want to not share anymore. Sorry,
Great,
guys.
and Navjeet is already up there. So hi, Navjeet, again.
Hello.
Sorry, guys, it's not letting me unshare, actually. I'm actually just going to hit the X button, which might delete it. And if that does, we'll just create a new one. There we go. It's there. All right, sorry about that. Let me get back to
All
where I can see you all.
right.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that.
There we go.
So we're going to have some questions and answers that we'll be asking that came in earlier, just around the space. And we'll also allow our audience members to ask questions. I will try to kind of pay attention to the order that I see hands go up, whether it's Tom from the streaming space, whether it's here in the live space, or whether it's Caroline letting me know that somebody in the virtual space has a hand up. But with that said, I'm going to throw the first question out. And actually, I'm going to let Caroline throw the first question because we have a couple good ones.
Sure.
Just in our script. So go ahead, Caroline.
Sure. And I think I'd like to start in the zooming out a little bit because I know that we have a mixed audience of people who are with us in the physical space and across YouTube. But the question I'd like to start with is we hear so much about words like spatial computing along with virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality. You know, there's so many different evolutions of this and the word metaverse. So I'd like to ask each of you, what if you can describe how you see the word spatial computing, what that means to you, first of all, and how you think that's going to impact the industry? Because I think it's very difficult to have a clarity about some of these things. So I'd like to start with what you believe is spatial computing and how it will affect things. And maybe I'll start with you, Julie.
Yeah, sure. So definitely the terms of in XR are very confusing. Even metaverse is a confusing term. So, but when it comes to spatial computing, it's really the foundation of what we're building. And when it comes to AR, VR, MR, those are the hardware devices that we're going to experience them on. So spatial computing, grounding yourself into spatial awareness and spatial design. This is the foundation of what is, to build an experience, whether it be deployed on a mobile device or a headset. It's about that 360 degrees that you fill in with assets and interactions and things like that make it a spatial computing experience. And I'll stop there.
Interesting. Yeah. And I want to touch on that a little bit more in a bit about how you're incorporating in the tokens and NFTs on that, because it seems like that's the way that you can leverage that. Okay. Now, Sheet.
Yeah, for me, I like the term spatial computing because I think it's more understandable to just a general audience as opposed to people that are specifically in the industry. To me, spatial computing, I've talked to numerous people around this since, the Vision Pro announcement. And it from all the people I've talked to, the term spatial before computing gives you the idea that it's computing that's all around you. And it's, being able to manipulate code or digital objects or digital things all around you. I think that as a term, being in the industry, I think it makes more sense for the general public moving into the future. I did often face challenges in the past just with terms around augmented reality or virtual reality. People who weren't in the industry often just thought augmented reality was just an extension of virtual reality. Or when we said metaverse, they automatically thought that it was just VR. So for me, it's as Julie said, it differentiates the technology from the device that it's going to be consumed on. But also, I think just as a term, it's very valuable for a wider audience.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, I can turn it over to you, Matt, and you can start with a new question, or if you want to ask a new one, or
I'm
ask
actually
the others
curious.
about
I'm
spatial
going to let the
computing.
guys in the physical space here answer that question because I can see at least one of them's eager to. So go ahead, Gareth. You're clearly dying to.
Eager, yeah. Spatial computing I think it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. To me, it's a combination of physical and digital, which in AR is literal digital content in physical space. And in VR, it's more about the physical emotion in a digital space. So spatial computing, to me, when I go back to it, that's what it means. But it can be lots of different technologies in spatial computing. Photogrammetry, 360 images, like it could be, yeah.
And if I can
Randy.
just say one other thing on that to respond to what you just said is that I do think that is helping us
change the relationship we have between physical space and virtual space. And we still have to have that connection. And I'd love to have that idea explored a little bit more later on. But sorry, back to you, Matt.
Randy, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think we always have trouble speaking to agencies and brands, even 10 years ago, about AR and VR, and somebody's presenting an idea. And I feel like spatial computing has now made it easier for us potentially to say, yeah, you want to do spatial computing? It's all of these things now under this umbrella, and we can kind of define it how we want to do it. But it's easier. The gentleman in the audience said Vision Pro. Well, right. Everybody who comes to us is
Physical space issue. Luckily, we have the frame virtual space up on our other screens here as well. Okay, so that said, I don't see any hands up in the space here. I'll go with another question. So as these tools enable clients to start collaborating more in both the design process of their branding experiences, what implications do you think that'll have for the industry? Just the clients themselves being able to collaborate on designing these types of experiences. And I'm going to throw to Randy first.
repeat that one more time.
So just, with obviously a lot of these tools are creative tools that are allowing the clients to actually have a little bit more direct interaction in their creativity of these virtual technologies now. How do you think that's going to affect the industry?
They've always had access to creative tools, right? I don't think it's as simple as we all believe it's going to be, right? I still think there's a deep understanding of, people are experts for a reason because it's what they're focused on doing. And I think, our company specifically, we didn't just start yesterday. We started a long time ago, and there's a process that you have to follow. You can't just go into a program and expect to build an experience that works for a specific audience, right? There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Do I think there's going to be expectations shift a little bit because there are individuals within a company that believe it's easier, or an agency or anywhere in general public are going to think it's easy to create these things? I think so. And I think there are going to be some companies that will create, groups, organizations, hire folks because things are more accessible and it is easier to do. But I still think there's going to be a need for experts to do it right. Even when we first started, we were learning, and there were some things that we painfully learned. And I think over time you get better at that. So I think in the near term, it's not going to shift as quickly as it's talked about, with all the things that are happening so fast. I think there's always a risk, but I still think there's a need for experts and a way to do it right.
Similar answer. I've been a part of a number of startups. They're always about creating new tools. The one thing I've discovered is when you create a new tool for your customer, they just want you to use it. So it's good to create the tools. I think it's great for education of your customers. But at the end of the day, same answer. I think they do need experts. They're always going to need the people to use the tools for them.
All right, we got a question here in the physical. Oh, sorry. We'll get the microphone over here. But I wanted to give Julie and Nav a chance to answer
Yeah,
this as
definitely.
well.
Yeah, sure. I'll answer that. I think that with the change of just all of these things that are happening, the tools, the different ways to market, marketing teams are, I don't want to say they're struggling, but they're shifting too. There's a lot to consider, and creative design teams may not be used to dealing with 3D and spatial design. So there's a little bit of hand holding. I'm also discovering just the conversation of Web3 and how to add that into a marketing campaign. We're at ground level on that. There's a lot of education to be done around that, and how to implement that into a consumer fed experience. It's a constant learning, and I think teams have to find companies have to find the right clients to work with, and understand that you're going to be building something and innovating and iterating together. And there needs to be a good collaboration there. So there's these new collaborations that are starting to take place, where each of the parties has to be able to understand that somebody is more knowledgeable in that space. And it comes back to really solid collaboration when it comes to building up these experiences.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody else said. It's very difficult to collaborate on specific on a lot of the work that we've done, but we have seen a few examples pop up where we've worked with companies who do augmented reality themselves, or they do 3D asset design themselves, and they'll want to incorporate it into a project that we're building. For example, we did do a mixed reality game for the Quest 3, where the client they develop AR experiences, but they didn't have the ability to develop for Unreal Engine. So we were able to take some of their assets, we were able to optimize them for the environment that we were placing them in, and then put those into the game themselves. And then as well, we're taking some AR files from Spark AR on Instagram and recreating them in Unreal Engine. And so we're able to collaborate on how some of the specific assets moved, or how some of the animations worked. So we've seen a little bit of collaboration, but it's very specific to clients that already understand 3D, that understand the underlying technologies. And sometimes we can take assets and then that they've already developed, and then optimize them for a different platform that we want to place them in.
Those are really good insights. I think the point of this sounds like is that it's very difficult to be at a stage where things are nascent for technologies and include clients in a journey that's not their vision being overwhelmingly impossible to deploy, and finding the balance and helping them prioritize. Okay, what can we do? How can we do phase one? How can we do phase two? What's that going to look like? And you're the ones who can help them visualize that. But I imagine there are probably some bumps along the road where you had to say, oh, I'm not really sure that's something we can do. So great answers.
So we have a question in the physical space, which I'll get to in a second. But the last thing I'll add too, which I'm guessing most of us have had some experience with, sometimes the clients ask for something that you've seen before and you also know just isn't gonna work. And it's terrible to kind of, I see Julie nodding, I saw Nav kind of quickly do it, I've seen Randy and Gareth do the same thing. It's one of those things of, it's like, okay, cool, it's a nice idea, we like, it's creative, it's a something to think about. But if we've been in the space and we've seen someone else try it and we know that it didn't work, it's one of those things where you don't, yeah, okay, fine. If we're a technologist, we can develop that for you, but we know it's not going to work because we've seen it in the past. And, so I think that expertise of knowing what's not a good idea, frankly, is something that needs to kind of be brought to bear for somebody who's trying it, trying something out. So we have a question in the room. Go ahead.
Yeah, so actually not a question, but I wanted to add on to exactly what you were just
Sorry,
saying. Sorry,
do you have a question? If you don't have a question, I have a question over here. We got to throw with questions. The presenters
I'll pass
present.
it along then.
Thank you. I saw Tom raise his hand. He had a question. I'm assuming from the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of sass coming from YouTube. that we shouldn't let Apple fool us. Magic Leap was using spatial computing long before Apple. So, but the question is, the World Wide Web is connected through certain operating standards. How smoothly can users move between these applications shown?
A good question. I think some of our guests can answer those in interesting ways. I'm thinking of a couple here.
Do you want me to take that one first? Steph?
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say that. I think there's something really valuable about your experiences.
Yeah, sure. I'm part of a group called Meta Traversal, and anybody's welcome to join. We're discovering what are the ramifications and the of moving between these worlds. And to be honest, we're not there yet. It's just interoperability between worlds. In a testing phase of seeing if an avatar can walk into another space is there, but transferring assets is not quite there yet. So, taking cautionary steps into creating something that's promising this interoperability between systems is not a realistic thing right now. And so I'll stop there because that's just, it's going to be there one day and it's coming. But for the general user, interoperability is not quite there yet, and we have to put the governance into place around that, and it's still being discussed and it's still unknown. So I think cautionary on that point.
And to add to that, to Julie's point, there is the organization, the Metaverse Standards. What is that? The Metaverse Standards?
Yeah, the Metaverse Standards Forum.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's worth looking up for the person who asked that question, because they are looking at all of the different, both the technical specifications as well as the implications. So there's all kinds of things you have to consider, the privacy, all of the ways that those are happening. And I do know that there's also, in the community that I'm part of, there's an organization, a Spatial Web Foundation, and they are building actual technology protocols, and those will be more a comprehensive way for not just the VR AR, but they will also enable there to be language between physical spaces and blockchain and Web3, but it's still early days. But I do think that it's the perfect time for people to be involved so that we can decide how this gets done. And I know that's something we talk a lot about in XR Women. So great question.
Any of the other presenters want to jump in on that one or no? 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 Okay. Question in the room. Go ahead.
Covered it very well.
Hello? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm just curious in the marketing efforts, how much is shifting? Is it a lot shifting to web-based technologies like Web AR, Web XR, or is it sort of similar as it always was? Still, people are asking for apps or custom VR games, et cetera. What's the mix in the brand in the customers that you're seeing? Is there a big shift towards the web or not so much? Just curious on that. Oh, and I guess follow on, like, have the tools gotten a lot? Do you see any like promising standards coming up that are going to make that shift even faster?
I can start if we'd like. Yeah, for us, we don't often get a specific ask for where these want to be deployed, but more so we try to understand, where the customers and the users are. In our experience, though, web-based experiences are definitely the most scalable. It doesn't rely on a user being a part of an app or having a specific type or piece of hardware that can support the 3D experiences. So for us, we often do recommend web-based experiences in a lot of the conversations that we have and a lot of the experiences that we deliver. But from the client perspective, we typically don't get a specific request for it. It just makes it very easy for the end users.
Go ahead.
Us specifically, we do a lot of work in WebXR. I know over the past
3 or 4 years, it's got a lot better than WebXR was 3 or 4 years ago. 3JS is much better now with WebGL. A-Frame's much better now. We try to do as much as we can. I think the technology, it's not quite on parity of doing something like in Unreal or Unity, but we specifically have had clients not want an app. Specifically, they don't want people downloading apps. They want the software to work through the web. So we have seen that more. And I think the technology has matured a lot faster over the past 2 years specifically. Yeah.
I think it goes back to the customer, the audience is an enterprise tool that they have an app that already is in existence. What are the barriers? Who built that app initially? I think as everybody had said so far, yes, web is definitely more scalable. But it does go back to, you know, where do they see this going? Where do we see it going? What's the next evolution of it? What's the cost, you know, to manage it moving forward? You know, I think some of the platforms out there have changed their models on how they charge, you know, larger clients, enterprise clients. So that's always something that we have to take into consideration when we are recommending a solution. But I think it still goes back to the intent and the audience. Where are they going to access it? You know, is it across social platforms? You know, then that, you know, gives you an idea how you want to build it. So,
Julie.
Yeah, sure. When you're considering building something for marketing and, you know, creating a frictionless experience, but one that you want to, say, add a loyalty program into, that's where WebXR starts to come into play, because you need an interoperable system to plug that API into that experience itself. So if I go into an experience and I visit and I I play the game and I win, you know, I want to get something out of that. I want a reward if you want me to come back again. It's just reality. That's how things work. You know, you're vying for attention now. So if you're going to reward me for purchasing something, then you've got to have that user connected to you some way. And using WebXR, a frictionless system that can onboard them and reward them without downloading an app is, you know, that's magic for the user to be able to create that loyalty towards the brand. So that's, you know, the WebXR is really, it's the future of where we're going. And yeah, there are some gated, you know, native applications behind the scenes, intercompany interoperability that's happening. And yes, of course that's happening because it's within their own gated walls. But when you're dealing with marketing, you're dealing with the end user who doesn't have access into that system. So you have to consider, you know, the ease of access to onboard to get the user to connect with your brand.
All right, we have a question that I wanted to give Karen the chance to ask. Karen, did you want to ask that question? It was a follow-up on something Julie had said. Oh, maybe your mic is not functioning, but so I will ask that question. And the question was that we were talking about the interoperability isn't there, but it is possible to integrate a company's back-end systems into experiences, and wanted Julie to answer that one. She could.
Yeah, I kind of just covered it. You know, companies can have that, you know, gated garden interoperability.
Right.
Say, for example, with training, right? You would integrate an API of a virtual object into a training platform, for example, and then you would plug in the HR, you know, the HR questionnaire and that sort of thing. You're talking about an interoperability there, but again, it's within those gated gardens where there's only, you know, the permissions are assigned, and you can't do that for consumers. It just doesn't work, right? You need to do that without it. So yeah, enterprise companies, you can have that interoperability walled garden, but when it's coming to consumers, WebXR is really the future to grab that consumer's attention.
Yeah, and I wanted to jump in actually for a question for Navjeet, because I know that you have worked with, and I'm just really interested in music and concerts, and I think you've worked with Live Nation and some other major brands. I'm just wondering, what are the key considerations that you have when you're designing experiences to resonate with those brands, to sort of elevate their identity, which is always different and unique? Can
Yeah,
you
for
speak
us,
to that?
oh, yeah, the project that we did for Live Nation, it was a fan engagement project. So basically, Simon Fuller, he had built this new pop star called Alta B. She was a 3D virtual pop star. And Live Nation and Verizon and Simon Fuller, his company, they wanted to team up and create a way to engage with that pop star. So at Irving Plaza in New York, what we did was, this was pre-Chat GPT, was we created this pop star in Unreal Engine and then gave fans the ability to walk up to a digital kiosk that had a webcam and a microphone attached, and users could basically have a conversation with that virtual pop star. And so we had a custom natural language processing model built in the background, as well as sentiment analysis. So the webcam and the microphone could see what you're hear what you're saying, seeing how your emotions were, how you're feeling, as well as understand your hand gestures, and you're able to have a one-to-one conversation with that 3D pop star and just learn more about her and learn more about her past and her future plans. So that was a very tailored experience, but the reasoning behind that was mostly for fan engagement, and just a lot of the same ideology behind how we develop for brands is things need to be on brand. They need to be within the persona of that virtual pop star or that virtual musician, needs to talk and act and converse exactly like her. And so that was basically the project behind that one.
That's super interesting. That's so cool. That's awesome. I think we have a question in the physical space. Matt?
Yep. Hi. Hello. Hi. So this is a general question for everybody, a little bit of a follow-up question to the one before, but are there any features or ideas that you'd love to implement for your clients or your customers that for the future, but can't right now because of any technological limitations? Go ahead.
Geospatial experiences in general, the accuracy right now is just not there. But there's so many ideas that we have. Being able to put things in space reliably, being able to show things moving through an environment reliably. The technology is getting better, much better, but I don't think we're quite there yet, and the accuracy is not there. So I'm really excited for the future of geospatial and being able to put things in spaces. I mean, outdoors, not just indoors. I mean, like outside in the real world.
I know a few here, but do you want to answer in the physical space? Yeah, go for it.
So I can piggyback. I mean, we've run into a lot of challenges with the geospatial stuff. We've done a ton of R&D demos. We've worked with Niantic and some other folks on their product development team and testing things out. It's definitely a challenge. It's definitely gotten better. We did an experience for an NFT company called CryptoBats. It was a global experience, and we did do some geospatial scavenger hunt, which was pretty cool. It was, I think, 100 locations around the globe, but we had to think of different ways of how to implement that. It wasn't the way we wanted it to be, but we found a way to make it a reality, which was great. But I do agree, like, that was a great experience. I think there's so much potential there. But I think with an experience like that, you have to think of all of the challenges that come with it. We had to make sure that people weren't spoofing it and all these other security things that came in mind with the way we ended up having to do it. So I agree with that. I think it's not necessarily a technological thing that we're challenged with. I think it goes back to the organizations themselves and how they've always built the customer experience. And I think Julie brought it up, when we create an experience, how is it adding value? A CFO at the end of the day is like, oh, that's a great experience, but is it helping us, increase our revenue at the end of the day? And I think that customer journey of something that happens online or in person or vice versa, there are a lot of challenges with that, especially if it's building on top of something that they've already, an e-commerce site, and how have they've created the UI, and how does AR play into that and make sure that doesn't interrupt the customer journey to make them buy that product. Is it adding to that? Is it increasing the, potential of a sale there? And I think that's a big challenge of just how things have been done. And it takes a company that's willing to push the envelope from, their comfort level of what they've done currently. So
I'm going to jump on this really quickly because you brought something up with your CFO example that Gareth and I are very familiar with from a prior conversation with Conagra. Conagra came to us at an event, a live event. We had 5 minutes to answer a question based on a demonstration we did, where the question was, how is this going to increase my sales? That was the straight question that I asked, and I said, well, I don't know. But give me a second and let me explain. For you to increase sales, you have to know your customer better. So the technology that we had demonstrated was basically an augmented reality application that could look at a supermarket shelf and it would augment some of their products. You could add a recipe to it, you could add a coupon to it, you could add and we use an allergen scanner, I remember that. And I said, here's how this is going to help you. The augmented reality is there for your customer and it's free and it's going to cost you money to develop this. But what you get to measure through that augmented reality is what your customers have looked at on a store shelf that they may or may not have bought. And again, if you use couponing and things like that, you can track whether or not they bought it. So that gives you more information about your customer than you can currently buy using point of sale data. So I can't tell you how is this going to increase your sales, but I can tell you how to get a lot more information about your customer and what they're looking at and what they're buying and what they're not buying. And if that helps you determine how to increase your sales, that's a use case for you using augmented reality. So, to your point, it's one of those things where it might not always be a direct answer, and the technology might not necessarily be a straight line from here to increase sales, but it's one way to get there sometimes. And with that, I'll throw it back into the virtual space and let them answer.
Want to go ahead, Julie?
Yeah, sure. I'm pretty excited about tokenomics. That's kind of where my head's at, heading into the Web3 world and using the chain to validate loyalty and using gaming to be able to create that experience that will be traded then for a reward. And whether you use it for token gating or royalties or just the onslaught of AI and how that's going to play into experiences, tokenization will be there to validate things. And just to tag onto what Matt said, if users got a wallet that they're creating, they're actually giving the brand permission to contact them again because they're loyal to that first experience. You've already got them in the hook. And if that person because that's the key to Web3 is that you need a wallet to be able to start exchanging any of the blockchain trade. So if you create an experience and your users are creating that wallet to get into that experience, they secured that contract with you as a brand to say, yeah, it's okay. I'm going to come back again, or it's okay for you to contact me. So I think this is a huge game changer in marketing. And, I'm still processing it because it's so new to me, as well as, having the actual tools and the onboarding storyline that can do that to a consumer. And what does that mean for their story when you've got all of these different tools to give that the user the connection to the brand and product that you're offering. So that's kind of where my head's at. And there's different ways of being able to entice consumers by, with the spatial interactions. And we're taking a step into the technology, right? So there's this whole new Z or Z in the United States, Z level data that is so interesting for brands to start taking a look into. And you can only do that if you've got an immersive experience. So lots to learn about, taking these next steps into what brands can do differently to create a community of consumers for their product to increase sales and engagement.
Great. Did you want to add anything to that, Abhijit? Do you have anything that you wanted to?
Yeah, for sure. So
Perspective?
this might be far into the future, but one of the things we've always been very interested in is like fully immersive travel experiences, being able to experience a place, a different country or location or a stadium, but get everything from like, the sounds and the vibrations and the smells and the temperature all in one. And there's been a lot of good progress with spatial audio and full immersion and VR. But really looking forward to the day where we can experience a few more of the sensory sort of the sensory things that really make us feel like we're in another place.
Okay. All right. I have some final thoughts, but I will save those for the end. Matt, did you have a question on your
Matt,
side?
Yeah, sorry. Randy wanted to add one more thing. I got to unmute here in order for you to speak. So while they're talking, I keep us muted. Go ahead, Randy.
I think you brought up a great point and a great talk track with that brand, right? I mean, that's a big question that comes up of not necessarily directing it or correlating it to a sale immediately. I think the one thing that everybody runs into, the brands that we work with, and I think companies in general, is the data, right? That's great. Who's going to parse the data and track that, right? We give a lot of companies data, but then somebody gets busy with something else and okay, that's great. We did this experience and there were thousands and thousands of people. And then it's like, so I think it's important as a company in order to take that data, help them parse the data and say, this is the value, that we brought you through this experience. So.
I'm going to go, well, this will actually segue into what I'm going to ask you guys all to kind of speak about a little bit when you do your final statement, but yes. And as somebody who's not a marketer, I think you need some marketer skills to be able to translate that information to them, but we'll get to that. I did have another question here in the center of the room. If we can go really quickly, because we only have a few minutes left. So go ahead, ask your question. We'll give everyone a few minutes to answer it and then final statements. Go ahead.
Yeah, so question for the two gentlemen on the stage. So for Gareth, my question is, it's like a newer company that you have, and it sounded like you were doing a lot of XR and AI stuff. So I was just wondering if you're doing anything outside of XR and AI. And was it Jared?
Randy.
So question, so you work with Next now, and so it's a lot of like marketing projects. So my question is like, how many projects these days are like XR specifically related?
Cool. So go ahead.
The answer is yes. We're doing things outside of XR AI. The team we have, it's a newer company, but we've been together for quite a while, which is why we started it. We thought we could make a difference. Yes, we worked with a company called Reuso. They do it's a recyclable program. You go and you order your food, they give you a container, you take it home, you bring it back. They have tracking technology in there. So we worked with them a little bit. So we do work with other companies in kind of similar fields, but mostly XR AI is our focus, and that's what our background is. So we try to do that.
Probably 30% of our projects are within this realm. We do a lot of physical space, place, physical installations, reactive LED floors, motion tracking. I mean, it's pretty big range, but probably 5 years ago before, I don't know how long ago the pandemic was, 4 years ago, a lot more, from our events, a lot of VR. We still do a lot of AR, get requests for it daily, but the requests still come, not as much, but it's still part of the business for sure.
All right. So thanks all for your insights. Stay here because you still have one more kind of question. We're going to let you basically make, you're going to get about 30 seconds, a minute. We'll go a minute each to make a final statement just about anything you want to talk about within the space. But one thing I'm specifically going to ask you to kind of think of here is for people who are in the XR world who may or may not be marketing experts, who are either trying to figure out how to market themselves and or try to support marketing use cases, what advice would you give them? And conversely, for a marketer who's thinking about doing their first spatial computing thing, where should they start the approach? With that, let's see who wants to go first. I see Julie smiling. Julie's going first.
Sure. I keep forgetting I'm on the big screen over here. Yeah, I think, so first of all, thank you very much for having me. This is such a unique experience. My pieces of advice to marketers just getting into the game, or just anybody, is one of the first things that we talk about with our clients is if they have a 3D branding guide. Let's start there. And this is something a lot of brands have not considered about when you land in the brand's metaverse. What does it look like? And what does the brand look like in that space? And for my previous clients, that's one of the first things that we go through, and figuring that out. And I think it comes back to spatial awareness, and making sure that that is one of the big considerations, because if you can understand what your brand looks like in a 360-degree space, with reflections and with textures and certain assets, and what does your logo look like in 3D? These are all the considerations that need to be made to even begin making an experience. And then just making sure that the storyline, the storyboard is thought out, and make it valuable and utilitarian for the user themselves, and what's going to make them come back again. Think about that. And thanks for having me, everybody.
Should I go next?
You should go next. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think for a marketer getting into the space is first just really try to understand the technology. So understand like where you can deploy spatial experiences. Just knowing like some of the capabilities and limitations of different platforms is good. And then just like for any experience with marketing, right, is like know which audience you're developing this for, which hardware they might have access to, which will define whether you want to do it on a headset or whether you want to do it on a mobile device or desktop or mobile 3D. And then just like every other experience, right, is defining clear objectives. Is what are you looking to get out of this experience, or what are you looking to get out of this campaign, so that you can develop it in the best way. And then as well, collaborating with experts in the space, such as other agencies or other experts who have done these experiences. Because if it is, particularly if it's your first experience, you really do want to focus on the user experience, and you want to make sure that it's a successful campaign that speaks to your audience in a way that your brand already speaks to your audience, but really driving them into the 3D world. So it opens up the door to do more 3D experiences. And then as well, as Julie said, one of the main aspects of 3D is it makes the user the protagonist in the experience. And so really leveraging storytelling in a way and differentiating the 3D experience than something that you could have done on video or images. And so I think that those would be my few key pieces of advice.
Excellent.
All right, Gareth.
Advice that I would give to people in AR, VR that want to know marketing is just general marketing advice. Know what your value is and measure it. So if you're doing a campaign, know what you want to get out of it and make sure you measure that. So when the campaign is done, you can get the value out of it. So your CFO is not asking you, hey, how am I making money? It's not necessarily about money. It might be reach. Just know what that value is before the campaign and know how you're measuring it. And that's just general marketing advice. And then for advice for marketers trying to get into spatial computing, XR, AR, VR, I think Julie said it perfectly. Learn about 3D. Simple as that. You don't have to learn about AR. You don't have to learn about VR. Just learn some basic 3D concepts. My co-founder, Lauren Lemieux, is really far better at marketing than I'll ever be. And she learned Blender and it helped her a great deal with a lot of the concepts that we were dealing with AR and VR. So yeah, there are plenty of free resources out there. Go learn Blender, build a thing, and it'll help you a lot with the technology in general.
I think for a marketer that's thinking about doing spatial computing, I think a lot of times they see an article. So I'd start with why are they going to, or why do they want to create one of these experiences? Will their audience want to experience this? Why do they want to experience this, right? I think that's a big question that people don't ask themselves. You know, they see another brand do an amazing job or get an award. I think you can make a lot of things look great from a marketing perspective, but when you're actually paying for it and doing it, you want to make sure that you understand why you're doing it and who is this audience that's going to bring it to life. I think individuals that don't have a lot of experience in this space, you have to try it out. We have a showroom that we bring agencies, architects, you name it, and we don't force them, but we encourage them to put on the latest headset, to try different types of AR experiences. We have the luxury of having to work with a lot of different brands and a lot of different segments, because I do think that if you do something in retail versus a brand activation versus an enterprise application, those audiences are all different, and the way we created those experiences varies. So really thinking about the space that they're trying to bring it to life in is important.
All right, Caroline, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and give your closing remarks. Julie, if you can, I'd love to get control of the center screen back.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks.
Caroline, go ahead.
Sure. I think that the things that I think a lot about in terms of how immersive technologies can influence and evolve in the marketing spaces, I think a lot about the fact that this will become more participatory. I think, as we've heard from everyone here, that it's very difficult to have that be a co-collaborative process, but I do think that this gives people the opportunity to begin to participate in a process in a unique way that we haven't really had before. And then I really feel like we have an opportunity to be able to personalize whether it's brands or products, personalize to each viewer, each person, and meet them where they are. And I think that's a difficult thing to do in industry, and coming from cybersecurity where people never understood it, and it's been a very difficult and somewhat painful process for that industry. But I do think that's what this possibility is allowing you. And I also think that there are so many communities for people who just don't know where to start. And I think it's a fire hose of information out there. But my suggestion for anybody is start going to some things like XR Women, start coming to, or look at videos of each of these speakers here, because they've already had different presentations. That's a great way to gain that. So I get excited about the possibility of personalizing the whole idea of marketing. And that's what I'm excited about. Thanks, Matt.
All right, before I get into final remarks, first of all, I just want to say these are all of our presenters. Their information is available on the website. They wouldn't be doing this if they didn't want you to connect with them and ask questions. So feel free to reach directly out to these people if you want to follow up with them. They're open to that. So, one of the pieces of advice I would give to anybody who's trying to use this technology is connect with the people who are doing it. Plain and simple. You've got folks on this stage and live and virtual who are doing marketing work with XR technology. Reach out to them, ask them what they're doing. And the second piece of advice I would say is do something. Like, don't spend all your time analyzing. You definitely learn, go through a learning process, but you're going to learn a lot more by trying something. Don't necessarily try something that's going to cost you $1 million up front. Just, small experiments can yield insanely large results sometimes. So, do an experiment and give something a try. It's amazing how often you'll learn a lot more, and frankly, in a lot of cases, gain a lot of value out of a small experiment. But with that, a little bit of housekeeping. So this is, first of all, thank you again to all of our presenters. You guys can jump off the stage if you want to at this point. Please stick around and talk to folks one-on-one who didn't want to raise their hand. For those of you in the virtual space as well, we'd love to have you stick around in the virtual space and talk with folks. But a little bit of housekeeping. Sorry, let me run through my very large screen. So this has been the next evolution of marketing. Once again, I will say, while this event is free to attend, it's not free to produce. So please consider donating to support. We'll put this QR code up again towards the end. We'll keep our NFT up there as well. I believe there's also a donate link on VRAR Chicago or the nextevolution.org's website. But yeah, please consider donating to support this. And with that, our upcoming events and the things that we have upcoming. So May 1st, we will be covering the topic of manufacturing. That's our industry that we'll be talking about next month on May 1st. Physical space will be here at 1871 again for the May event. For the June event, we're going to be doing something. We're going to kind of go back to doing something that we had done pre-pandemic quite a bit, which is we're literally just going to get as much of the AR and VR technology as we possibly can into this room and let you all put your hands on it and your eyes on it and actually try it. Because, I realized that a lot of people, as I'd say, before the audience filled in a bit, we had folks raise their hands. About half the audience had tried an Apple Vision Pro. We have one in here. Try it. We're working on getting a whole lot of other XR technology in the room for you guys to try. Beyond the things that you've probably already seen. We all know that, most people have probably seen a Quest at this point. Great. We're going to have a Quest, but we'll probably also have an HTC Vive Elite. We're trying to get new Magic Leap. We're talking to several other developers and technology producers as well to try and get the actual tech in the room. We're using this almost as a little bit of a kickoff and a preview to Augmented World Expo, which takes place in Long Beach about 2 weeks later. And then in July, questionable on the date yet, we're still solidifying that, but July is going to be a social-only event. So we will not have a virtual presentation. Which, by the way, sorry, for the June event, we are working on how to do virtual portion of that event as well. So there will still be a virtual portion of the demo day. But for the July event, that'll be social only. With that said, I will say thanks again to everybody, all of our presenters, all of our staff who've helped organize this and get everything running, the people who are going to stick around and do demonstrations after the fact, Caroline for hosting the virtual space, and all of you for coming out. With that said, I'm going to throw the QR code for the NFT up. I will leave that up so that anyone who wants to collect it can collect it. And then I'll probably in about 10 minutes go back to the donation page. But with that said, thank you, and we hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Najit. And thank you, everybody on the physical side. It's really great to have this conversation, and let's keep it up. Let's continue it. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
All right, Caroline, I am going to mute you in the physical room, so you guys feel free to network there as loud as you like. Thanks. Thanks,
Sure.
everybody.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. It's so late. I know everybody probably needs to get back to their families and their lives. Thank you both. Thanks.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks,
Yep, thank you, Caroline.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
terrific.
Caroline.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for coming, Ben. Nice to see you. Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. Good to see you.
Good to see
Awesome.
you.
All
I think
right,
this works
everybody.
really well in frame, possibly better than